The story begins as we learn that the 7 million year history of mankind is about to end, because the gods have grown tired of them, and the ruler of the gods, Zeus, asks for everyone's opinions in an assembly. They all agree that humanity should be wiped out, since they're wicked and hopeless creatures, so Zeus prepares to declare the extinction of mankind. But the Valkyrie Hilda suddenly interrupts him and tells everyone she's against it. The gods aren't happy that she disturbed their assembly, and they tell her she has no right to be there, since she's just a half-breed god. She admits that humans are flawed creatures, but she reminds everyone about the law of Ragnarok, which allows humans to have the right to fight the gods over 13 rounds, to determine the fate of mankind for the next 1,000 years, and they'll be saved from extinction if they can win. But we learn that it has never been used before, since the gods think it's impossible for humans to defeat them. The gods laugh at her, and they think fighting humans would be a waste of time, since they don't stand a chance anyway. But she asks the gods if they're afraid they might lose, so Zeus decides that they'll fight it out against mankind, and he orders Hilda to pick the champions that will represent humanity, since she obviously wants to save them. The gods gather at the arena, and the watchman of the apocalypse named Heimdall announces the beginning of Ragnarok. He introduces Thor, the god of thunder, as the representative of the gods for the first round, and they're confident that he'll win, since he's the strongest Norse god. The Valkyrie Gaul is worried that he'll destroy their representative, but Hilda is confident that they can take him on, since she has chosen the strongest warrior of humanity. Heimdall introduces the representative of mankind, and the humans cheer as the mightiest hero of the 3 kingdoms named Lubu appears. Both sides prepare for battle, and as Lubu gets off his horse, his spear appears from the sky. Gaul wonders if he can defeat Thor, so Hilda tells her not to underestimate humans, and notes that the gods are looking down on them, so she wants to see the look on their faces after they lose the match. Heimdall blows the horn of the apocalypse, which signals the beginning of the match, but everyone wonders why both fighters still haven't raised their weapons. They walk towards each other, and we learn that both of them have defeated all of their opponents with a single blow, so they're confident in their abilities. Lubu strikes first, and Thor blocks it with his hammer, but Lubu manages to push him back, and everyone's impressed that he can match the power of a god. But Zeus knows that Thor still hasn't unleashed his full power, and he uses his lightning to charge up his hammer. He leans back as he prepares to strike, and the gods realize that he's fighting with his hammer, since he respects Lubu's strength. In a flashback, we see the angels of Asgard trembling as 66 frost giants launch a surprise attack, and one of them breaks the wall, so the gods start to panic. The knights arrive to take down the giants, but they're no match for them, and we learn that Asgard wasn't prepared, since the giants have never attacked as a group. They reach the castle walls, and the gods think they're doomed, but Thor suddenly comes out of the castle, and he wipes them all out with his hammer. But we learn that he didn't enjoy the fight, since the giants were no match for him, and the move he used to defeat them became popular with the gods. We return to the present, as Thor prepares to strike, and the gods are confident that the fight is over, since he's about to use his special move. He swings his hammer at Lubu, and it creates a massive blast of lightning, which makes Gaul think it's impossible to defeat the gods when they fight seriously. But Hilda tells her to keep watching, as Lubu suddenly recovers, and manages to cut Thor's chest. The gods can't believe it, since they never imagined that a human could injure Thor, but the warriors of the 3 kingdoms aren't surprised, because they know that Lubu is a beast. In another flashback, we learn that Lubu was born in Mongolia, and he started traveling at a young age in search of a worthy opponent. He makes his way around the entire Eurasian continent and defeats all of the opponents in his path. He becomes a warlord and charges at the enemy forces head-on, but he wipes the floor with them, and he gains followers because of his tremendous strength. But after 30 years of traveling, he finally starts to lose it, realizing that he can't find anyone to be his match. So he gets bored of fighting and allows the enemy forces to capture and execute him, since he no longer found life worth living. We return to the present, as Lubu clashes with Thor, and he's happy to have finally found a worthy opponent. But Zeus wonders how his weapon still hasn't crumbled, since he's using it to defend against Thor's hammer, but he realizes that it's because of the power of the Valkyrie. We learn that before Ragnarok began, Hilda already knew that even the greatest warriors of humanity don't stand a chance against the gods, since their divine weapons hold unimaginable power. She notes that human weapons would crumble if they're used against the gods, so Gaul falls into despair, but Hilda summons the 11 Valkyrie. She asks one of them, named Rangriz, if she knows about Thor's sacred items, so she notes that he has iron gloves that can withstand all attacks, as well as the hammer Mjolnir, which destroyed the frost giants. Hilda knows that they're OP, and notes that they can't defeat Thor unless they match his weapons, so she asks Rangriz to give up her body so that humanity can win the fight. We return to the present, as Lubu's spear glows, and we learn that Rangriz used the Valkyrie Volundr technique to transform herself into a divine weapon. He manages to overpower Thor and prepares to strike him down, so he blocks the attack with his glove. But we learn that Rangriz has the power to destroy any shields, and Thor's glove ends up breaking, which surprises everyone, since it's considered the greatest armor in the heavens. We learn that Mjolnir was said to be so overpowered that it could even destroy whole continents, and nobody was capable of wielding it, since nobody could handle its immense power, but Thor used the gloves to protect his hands. But now that one of them has been destroyed, the humans start to celebrate, since they think he can no longer use it. Lubu goes on the offensive, and Thor struggles to avoid his attacks, but everyone's shocked as Mjolnir starts to transform. They hear the sound of it beating as if it were alive, and Thor realizes that it has finally awakened, which gets Zeus excited. He reveals that the legend was misunderstood, since the gloves weren't made to protect Thor from Mjolnir, but to restrain his powers, so that he wouldn't crush it before it awakened. He removes his other glove, and he lifts Mjolnir with his bare hands. He unleashes his power, telling Lubu not to die, since he wants to enjoy their fight. The gods are excited to see him wield Mjolnir without holding back for the first time, and he suddenly throws it at Lubu, who barely manages to dodge it, and he prepares to counterattack. But Mjolnir comes back, so he uses his spear to avoid it, and as it returns to Thor, he uses the velocity from throwing Mjolnir to deliver a devastating blow. The gods recognize it as the move he used to defeat the world's serpent, but Lubu smiles as he charges in and takes the attack head-on. An explosion covers the arena, and the humans are worried about Lubu, but they realize that he was able to block the attack, so they cheer for him, but they stop as they realize that his legs were broken, and as he falls to his knees, Zeus thinks the fight is over. But his horse suddenly rushes to his side, and Thor allows him to ride it so that he can continue their fight. But he struggles to get up since his legs are broken, and the humans cheer him on, so he forces himself to get up. The god Hermes wonders if it's against the rules, since it's supposed to be a one-on-one battle, but Zeus notes that the horse is just an extension of Lubu's body. Lubu talks to his horse, who agrees to put everything on the line to win the battle, and they start running around Thor, while Lubu prepares to use his special move. One of his disciples recalls the moment when he saw Lubu training, since he wanted to perfect his technique, and he broke countless spears as he continued swinging over the years. He finally masters his technique, which splits the sky in half, but we learn that he never used it against anyone, since all of his opponents were no match for him. We return to the present, as Lubu's disciples look forward to seeing him use his ultimate move, and he charges at Thor, who's excited to see what he can do. They both use their ultimate moves, and a pillar of light pierces the sky as they attack each other head-on. But Lubu gets overpowered, and Rangriz dies as his weapon is destroyed, so everyone realizes that it's all over for him. Lubu is happy that he finally found his match, and thinks about how he tried everything, but he still couldn't defeat Thor. He charges at Thor again, and he enjoys his final moments as Thor delivers the finishing blow. Heimdall announces Thor as the winner, and the gods celebrate, while the heroes of the three kingdoms mourn Lubu's death, but they're glad that he died with a smile on his face. The gods start boasting about how humans can't defeat them since they're the superior beings, and Heimdall tells Thor to follow him to the exit. But Lubu's disciples stop him, and they mention that their existence is meaningless without their master, telling Thor to let them join him. So Thor decides to grant their wish, and he wipes them out with a powerful blast of lightning, but he thanks them for serving as an offering to his friend Lubu. Gaul asks Hilda what will happen to Lubu and Rangriz, so she explains that Ragnarok is a battle of souls, and it's impossible to reincarnate someone whose soul has been destroyed. So they will be completely removed from existence, and Gaul is sad since they'll never see Rangriz again, asking Hilda if the battle is even worth it. So she tells Gaul they can't defeat the gods if they keep mourning, and reminds her that the fate of mankind depends on the result of the battle. As Hilda picks the next champion of humanity, Gaul starts to lose hope, since even Lubu was no match for the gods,